Mario and Sonic often get compared a lot due to their platforming similarities. However, what I think Mario does way better than Sonic by a landslide is to give their side, but also very important characters, time in the spotlight. I mean, we have Luigi games, Yoshi games, Wario games, Donkey Kong games, hell, even Peach got a couple of games. And I'm not saying Sonic doesn't have spin-offs starring his large and colorful cast. I mean, last year we got Sonic X Shadow Generations. But I honestly think that's more of an extra mode rather than a full-on game. Okay, that one might be a hot take, but trust me. The last main game that never had a playable Sonic in it was Shadow the Hedgehog back in 2005. And Shadow is arguably just as, if not more popular than Sonic at this point, so I can see why he gets a lot of love. Too much in recent times, but that's a discussion for later. One character, though, I feel like deserves a second chance in the game spotlight is none other than Sonic's bestest companion, Cucky. What? You remember Cucky, right? No one? Fine, it's Tails. We're talking about Tails today. Or Miles Prower, to be more adequate. Tails had a few adventures throughout Sonic's nearly 35 years in gaming, all on the Game Gear 2, funny enough. Tails and the Music Maker being an edutainment game, Tails Sky Patrol, which doesn't even look like a Sonic game at all, and finally, Tails Adventure, the game I feel like has the most potential to be revisited. So, in this video, I'm going to try to give a few ideas on how a Tails game could potentially look like in the modern day, aspects of the story, the gameplay, the main gimmick, among many other ideas. Obvious warning up ahead, I'm not a game developer, nor an artist, or even an expert writer, so take the ideas with a grain of salt as just a fan that would like to think something like this would be fun to see as a demo or a neat idea, rather than a fully fledged / funded project that would make fan game history. No, I'm just a fool that likes to say he has too much time in his hands, but actually does not. At least according to my upload schedule. But without further ado, strap in, grab your controllers, subscribe to the channel, and take off for a potential modern-day Tails game. So when I think about making a game like this, my general idea would be a 2D platformer starring Tails, and his main goal remains mostly the same as any other Sonic game. Get to the end of the stage, but going fast will be a mastery of the game's levels and controls. Now you may be asking, why a 2D platformer instead of a 3D one? Well, as much as I love 3D platformers, I think the character with as much freedom as Tails does, when it comes to flying, it can make level design feel so much more tricky to make it fun, but also not completely game-breaking. I mean, in Sonic Adventure, you can literally just fly through some of the stages with complete ease, eliminating so much of the challenge. So if we got a 2D platformer in our hands, what's the story gonna be like? Well, I could just pull Luigi's Mansion and say that the main character gets captured and the sidekick has to save them. And that can work, but I kind of want to do something a little bit more different. I kind of want the plot to revolve mostly around Tails making his own choices as his known personal hero, if that's the direction of this new story is going. To explain what I mean, ever since Frontiers, the head writer kind of soft rebooted every character, making them feel a little bit more distinct rather than just having this one-dimensional personality. Tails, ever since Unleashed, played a more supportive tech role rather than his own shy but courageous self in the previous games. And although this archetype worked for the stories of the previous games, some moments just felt really out of character for Tails. Mainly,
Chaos! Sonic, help me!
Yeah, nearly a decade later, that still hurts. But in Frontiers, Tails feels like he's a lot more inconsistent, and after a small talk and some character development, he wants to go at it for a while, and for him to show Sonic that he'll be the hero that he'll become. And I think that's more of a reason for a spin-off for a platformer for Tails. And while we're at it, why not give Tails a villain to fight against? And I could see no other fitting rather than the main enemies in Tails' adventure, the Battle Cucko. And since these guys are kind of Eggman coded, it wouldn't be too different to what Tails has faced before, but still would be both a surprise and a great challenge to see him return. They don't have much lore and personality, but that's a perfect opportunity to give them one. Maybe instead of tactics and strategy like Eggman has, they purely desire destruction, mayhem, and complete conquering, not even thinking twice about all the lives they'll take for them. So to recap, Tails wants to re-explore his roots and head back to his home island, Coco Island, but sees the grand return of the Battle Cucko, Fueled by jealousy of the Eggman Empire after all these years, they want to go above and beyond, become even more powerful. So it's up to Tails and Tails only to stop these guys and to save the residents of the island. And why not give the Battle Cocos a modern redesign? Speaking of which, I want to take a minor point to talk about this hypothetical art style the game should go for. Now I know art style is a very controversial topic for the Sonic community, so I'll be brief and simple with this one. It's mainly 3 things I would like. 1, I kinda don't want to see the classic designs anymore. As cute and iconic as they are, I just feel like I'm tired of seeing them. Rather, kinda go for more of a modern, advanced style sort of game. You know, kinda in line with the modern 3D games, to make this sort of character arc make a bit more sense. My second point is to give the characters thicker outlines. My big problem with the last 2D Sonic game was all the stage elements blended together a lot. I had a hard time seeing what was actually in front of me a lot of the time, and a thicker outline just makes things pop out a bit more. Think like Sonic Runners on mobile. That's what I mean. And finally, number 3, try adding more camera angles to the game rather than just being locked to one angle. Shadow Generations did this perfectly in my opinion, giving you multiple angles that simulate a 3D environment but not actually being 3D. And the last thing I want to talk about in terms of style is the soundtrack. Something that would fit Tails. How about more of an electronic sounding music with synths and such? Something to match more of his technological battles this little fox is about to face up against. But enough about that style, what's the general gameplay loop gonna look like? Since we're looking at a 2D platformer, let's describe the basic controls. With Tails being the main focus, he's going to be the only playable character. I know it feels kind of wrong to have a 2D Sonic game without at least 3 playable characters, but trust me on this one. There'll be multiple different ways to play this game. So for Tails' basic moveset, he can walk, build up speed to run, or hover in this case, jump, then use the jump button again to fly, and of course, crouch and then spin dash. But I want to add 2 more moves to his arsenal. First is the one from Sonic Advance, where he has a basic tail swipe. It's nice to get an easy hit on a boss when standing still and not having to risk jumping into an attack, but I'm not sure if he'll use it considering the next thing we'll give him, bombs! How many times am I going to use that same explosion effect before it becomes unfunny? Bombs were the main method of attack in Tails' Adventure, so bringing that back along with its many upgrades would be nice. You know, upgrades like the triple bomb, the remote bomb, and the f***ing napalm bomb. You didn't even need the rookie character and forces. Tails had enough firepower to destroy 2,500 square yards. But enough about bombs. What if you wanted more than that? In Tails' Adventure, you had a whole assortment of gadgets you can work with, like a helmet for protection, a teleport device, or even this cute little fox robot. Bring him back, like, come on, this guy is adorable. They were found in many of the levels, and they can be equipped with each of the starter levels in Tails' Adventure. Though you can only equip up to 4 at a time. It can be rather inconvenient to find a secret, only to figure out that it requires an item that you don't currently have, so you go back out, get the right item, and then go back and get the treasure. It's unfortunately not fun, and even in some early metroidvania type games never really did this. So if that was the case, why not just have them all available once you've collected it? Sure, it might be a little painful to navigate through all the menus and such like that, but maybe with a simple button of L and R could just switch between them really quickly. Or just a quick drop-down menu where you control with the other control stick. Experienced players could probably switch between them very fast and probably find much more shortcuts or secrets. And why just stop at those? Like, add more gadgets, like maybe some skills from later Sonic games. Like in Sonic Battle, Tails had this Mega Man Buster-ass gun that he had. That would be neat to see again, that could be upgraded. Or how about in the Frontiers DLC? He had those powerfully strong wrenches and that funny looking drill thing. Bring that back too. Hell, maybe have something that's similar to that Tornado Walker thing that he had in Adventure 2. That would work as well. And even then, why stop at gadgets? Also in Tails' Adventures, you can find these items with other characters' faces on them, like the one with Sonic here will allow you to spin dash, or the Knuckles one will allows you to hit the whip. No nay though, just the whip. We have more Sonic characters, so that can mean more perks and charms. Here are a few examples I can think of. The Sonic Charm will give you a pseudo homing attack, The Amy charm will give you a hammer that behaves like the one similar in Sonic Adventure, where you can use it at a standstill, or you can get a large jump boost when running. Knuckles will even give you a stronger punch. The Cream charm will give you a Chow that can assist you in battle. The Shadow charm can slow down enemies for a short period of time. A Chaotic charm can give you a radar for hidden items, and so on and so forth. I can think of plenty more, just give me enough time. It would be nice to equip both the character charm as well as a weapon like a bomb or a drill to really diversify Tails' movesets and movement options. You could probably find these charms throughout the levels or maybe even extra missions, so it wasn't completely mandatory to actually use them, but it would be nice to have them on you. The last thing I want to add for Tails' arsenal is the collectible. Tails is a mechanic after all, so why not use the scrap found from defeating robots and use them to build not only his gadgets, but also upgrade his general moveset and abilities. Almost like a skill tree, if you will. A few ideas I have in mind are boosters to increase your ground speed, airspeed, and defense for general upgrades, longer flight times for flying, maybe upgrading shield monitors to make you equipped at the start of the beginning of each stage, and maybe upgrading those shields for defenses so it doesn't immediately go out in one hit. As well as upgrading the skills you already have from what you'll get from stages and bosses. You can go pretty far with this skill tree system with both the scrap that you collect and the rings that you have preserved. Speaking of stages and bosses, let's get a little bit more detailed into them. See, most 2D Sonic stages are largely horizontally designed to showcase how much speed you can go and how quickly you can get to the goal in time. There are some classic Sonic levels that are more vertically designed, like the first one that comes to mind is Marble Garden Zone from Sonic 3, and most stages in Knuckles Chaotix are also very vertical, so I think you can get a little bit more creative with these two types of stages. Act 1 could be more horizontal, resembling the stage design in Sonic 2 and Sonic 3, while the second act could be a lot more vertically designed, not only to hide more secrets, but to be easier to maneuver through with Tails' flight ability. Then, have the boss stage, with a brief craft warning section before the boss that actually shows up, to at least demonstrate a gimmick for the boss or build up tension for the atmosphere. I also think it would be nice to have a couple of extra stages thrown into each zone as well, similar to Sonic Colors on the DS. Maybe a character will show up in the area and give you a mission, and by completing the mission, they will award you with one of their charms. I also want to include special stages for the collectible Chaos Emeralds. Finding them in giant rings may seem unoriginal, but with the fact that you have multiple different perks and equipment, means that you can at least gatekeep them rather than just walking through an invisible wall or something and bam, there it is. Other collectibles include stuff like red rings to hide in each of the levels to incentivize more exploration, and maybe collecting all of them will give you stuff like cosmetics or different outfits to wear. You know, some fun stuff like that. The stages themselves should also have a lot of shortcuts with the right equipment to skip either large chunks of the stage, or once again, find a collectible or two. Bosses should also have a lot more health instead of the 8 hits and they are gone. With the amount of weapons you'll find, finding uses and strategizing the way to defeat them would be a lot more enjoyable. Think of the way that Sonic Rush Adventures handles their bosses. They have a standalone health bar. Why not do something similar like that? Just make them don't jump into the background too much. I don't want another Superstars incident. The last sort of stage I would love to see is maybe a shoot 'em up section with a tornado. I'm not going to sugarcoat this, but stages like Sky Chase and Mirage Saloon Act 1 are very boring, but Frozen Base Act 2 is fun in Superstars. These stages were in Tails' Adventure as well, so I'd love to see them return with maybe different angles for the shoot 'em up section, like maybe a top-down or side-scrolling shooter. Maybe have a 3D shooter. Who knows? The only thing I really can't think of is like an interesting special stage. Most of them, aside from Mania, are pretty uneventful. A special stage I think has a lot of potential is the one in Sonic Colors DS, with certain collectibles that you have to obtain on each lap of the half-pipe. Maybe do something similar there with different objectives for each of the emeralds. And collecting all 7 will give you something nice, like maybe a super form or a true final boss or something. Actually, this is a bit of an unrealistic opinion that I didn't even put into the script until just now. Why not give Tails a new super form? I mean, you gave Shadow the Hedgehog one, and that's not really a super form, but it looks cool. Maybe give Tails like a mech armor suit or something like that. Just something that would radiate tons of aura. And honestly, that's kind of all the basics I would like to see in a Tails game. I could go into more detail on the level design, stage types, locations, boss ideas, etc, etc. But I would feel like that would just get repetitive at some point. Plus, I don't want to make a video that isn't 30 plus minutes long, so I'll wrap it up with a few final remarks. The game difficulty would be around challenge you'll see in something like Sonic 3 and Knuckles. And also to help with scrap material, more enemies will be put into the levels with higher health bars, similar to Sonic Heroes. But with faster speed stats and equipment, well, they'll make you access shortcuts that might make you able to skip certain enemy rooms. And finally, have an achievement system in place, for a bigger incentive to replay stages and find certain areas you would have missed on your first playthrough. Maybe even bring back the ranking system. It'd be interesting to see a ranking system in a 2D game. So, that's just a basic idea how I think a Tales game should be like. Is it confusing? Maybe. But hey, everyone has their dream game. Mine is just very weird. And now for the big question. Will this become a game made by Sega/Sonic Team? I don't know. But I do have a good feeling that something big relating to Tales will come sooner than later. I mean, Mr. Flynn has something probably cooking for the Fox. And when it comes to popular characters in the Sonic universe, I'd say Tails is at least in the top 3. So like, it's not like it wouldn't sell, even if it might be a little bit different. But short and sweet, I just want my childhood favorite character to be cooler in a lot more people's eyes. Like, Tails was supposed to be the little brother character, and potentially seeing him all confident yet calculated would be so fun. And maybe someday if I miraculously understand how game development works, this might even be a fun fan game that I might try to make. But I'm getting way ahead of myself. Thanks for watching everybody, and hopefully more content like this is sure to come in the near future. Have a good rest of your day everybody, and keep dreaming. Someday it might come true.